Welcome to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank you so much for stopping by today. The subject of my vlog today is my Filipino wife versus my American wife. But before I get started, let me welcome my new viewers and new subscribers. Thank you so much for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of my channel. It's truly been amazing. I'll never take that for granted. Happy New Year again. I guess I'll say that for the first week and be done with it, just to make sure I reach everybody. 2022 is going to be a great year for everybody. I'm putting my money on that. But I was asked a question recently by one of my subscribers. I consider him a friend now. And he said, you've been married to an American woman. You've been married to a Filipino woman. He said, can you tell me what was the difference, if there was any differences? And I said, sure, I'll just do a video about it, a short video about it, because there's a lot of differences, but really there's just as many similarities. I was married to a beautiful African-American woman for technically 18 years, really 16, because the last 2 years we were not together. I was with a beautiful Filipina for technically 10 years, but really 8.5 years, because the last year and a half we were not together. In those 18 years, 16 years I was with my American wife, there was a lot of great times thrown in there. I had stopped drinking and stopped drugging during that time. We bought our first home. We did some traveling around the world, to different places. She had never been on an airplane before, by the way. Had never really been out of Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, where her family is from. She had started a daycare center that became quite successful. I started an insurance business insurance agency that became quite successful. We had 4 beautiful daughters. And, one thing that I don't like, toward the end of relationships, people always want to focus on the negative stuff. I don't let that happen. I'm going to talk about the 360, the good and the bad. My Filipino wife, like I said, we was together for 10 years. Those 8.5 years we were together were some of the best years of my life. I mean, I'm just going to be honest about it. She was a great woman, and I'm going to keep their names private to protect the innocent. But what happened was we were just going in different directions. I honestly believe that the age gap caught up with us, as it does a lot of people. When I met her, she was 24 and I was 46. When we separated, she was 34 and I was 56. I was ready to settle down. She was just getting started. And she wanted to stay in America, and I don't blame her. I know enough about the Philippines to know, I don't blame her. I don't hold anything against her, but yeah, we were in love when we separated, but it is what it is. I just want to kind of give these guys who've been married to American women who are kind of cautious and saying, I'm never going to get married again. You're probably going to rethink that when you start coming over here and you meet the right Filipino, because, they've got some unbelievable qualities, man, that I find attractive. I find appealing, that a lot of men around the world find appealing. So let's get started with the differences. With my American wife, the honeymoon period was very brief, if we had a honeymoon period at all. She was arguing and throwing shit almost from the beginning. Sex had become difficult. It was like pulling teeth with tweezers or something. It just wasn't enjoyable. I'm sure I wasn't turning her on. She wasn't turning me on. I guess for the last year, we was really just going through the motions. And I just got tired of begging, man. You get to the point where you begging, and by the time she relents, gives in, I'm no longer in the mood. And trying to get something extra was out of the question. Unless it was your birthday, maybe her birthday, anniversaries, holidays, or something like that. Anything extra was out of the question. It was missionary, 100% of the time. Now, my Filipino wife was totally different. When you're with a Filipino, it's like every day you're on your honeymoon. Like I said, even up until the day we separated, we were still on our honeymoon, man. We never had an argument in 8.5 years. That's just how it is. It's not about being submissive or weak or anything like that. But we had an open door policy when it came to sex. I mean, it was smooth as silk. See, my American wife, she made sure she was in control of the cookie jar. But my Filipino wife, she left the top off the cookie jar. I had access to the cookies at any time. I became the cookie monster. And every day was my birthday. I mean, I got it any way I wanted, however I wanted, wherever I wanted, and it was just no problem. Everything was smooth. And it was good. It was passionate, man. She relit my fire that had went out. And it would get so good sometimes, man, I promise you, man. She would lick her lips, man. I mean, she would lick her fingers, smack her lips, man. Y'all think I'm playing. But yeah. So that honeymoon period, man, is in total contrast to each other. It's a big difference, man. And I have to give the edge to the Filipino. Now, no matter what I did or how much I did, it was never enough for my American wife. She just was never satisfied. When we first started, we lived in her one-bedroom apartment in Carter Homes. That's the projects in Louisville, Kentucky. But by the time we split up, we had accomplished some things. We were like the Jeffersons, man. We had moved on up, and I guess she had kind of forgot that. But she started taking everything for granted. She became real, confrontational and jealous and everything like that. And it just became hard for me to be the man of the house. Sometimes I'd get in my car and I'd just ride around till late at night and come home and go to bed. Now, with the Filipino, it's different. With my Filipino wife, it was different. She was low maintenance. It didn't take a whole lot to make her happy. Because she just wasn't used to having a whole lot. A lot of things that I bought her, man, she really didn't want them. I was buying them for me, to make me feel good. Like, I'm the, the good husband. But, you can't miss what you never had. But yeah, she was very low maintenance. And I like that. I like a simple woman. And again, we never had an argument in 8.5 years. And we argued all the time with my American wife toward the end. See, at the beginning, man, we were the best of friends. We were the best of friends when I was drinking and drugging. But when I stopped, did that 180, got my life together, she felt, this is what she said, that I didn't need her no more. Not realizing that I needed her more. See? And she compensated for that by becoming more stronger, more tougher. And it's like, if I wanted a man, I would have married a man. And that's what I told her. But the Filipino, on the other hand, she's feminine, she's delicate. They're tough as nails when the time calls for it. But other times, man, they're just, feminine, man. They're ladies, they're women, and they don't have a problem with that. It got to the point in my house where there was some blurred lines. Like, who's the head of the household, really? She didn't want to budge. But with my Filipino wife, see, there was clearly defined roles. And she didn't have a problem with that. She didn't have a problem with me leading. And I like that. There was no question who wore the pants in the house. So it was totally different, East versus West. It's just basically the cultures, how they were grown, how they grew up. Because let me be honest, man, I've got 4 daughters, and when they were growing up, I'd always tell them, to be skeptical of men in a certain way, to be skeptical of men. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but I did. The relationship, the marriage with an American woman and marriage to a Filipino is totally, totally different. It's like night and day. So we'll go to the similarities, but it's one more thing that I want to say that my American wife did that made me so angry. She would tell all of my business. See, she would only tell one side of the story. Now, the Filipino, on the other hand, she kept everything on the inside of the house. If she did tell anybody, I didn't know. But there was people in America walking around knowing my business, and I don't like that. There's no reason for that. See, that's the third party that breaks up a lot of relationships. It doesn't have to be an affair. It's telling people your personal business. You keep that business in the house. Once you start sharing it with people, it's going to cause problems because now they're going to start giving you advice. See, my American wife didn't realize that her friends were jealous of her. See? And it was the opposite with the Filipinas. She knew her friends were jealous, so she didn't listen to them because they was giving her some jacked up information too. Let's be honest about it. But yeah, those are the different things. The honeymoon, man, was totally different. So much better with the Filipino, man. When you're with a Filipino, even when I'm with my girlfriend now, Marilyn, we've been together 2.5 years, we're still on a honeymoon period, man. You know how that honeymoon period is. The butterflies, everything, the passion is still there. The sex is just unbelievable. I mean, she just still, I get that twinkle in my eye when I see her. That's how it is. Nothing's taken for granted like it was on the other side. So let's go to some similarities between my 2 marriages. They were both independent. And, in one way that's very good, because see, people think the Filipinos aren't independent. They're very independent. They've got a reputation for being gold diggers. They're really not. If you want to piss a Filipina off, do everything for her, or make it seem like you're taking care of her. Even if you just bring it up, they don't like it. They want to get out there and they want to work, and that's why I always suggest to guys, look, man, if you come over here and your girlfriend's working, don't make her quit her job unless she wants to quit it. If you're together and that morning comes and she gets up and get ready to go to work, let her go to work because it can backfire on you. She doesn't know how to spend that time. She's used to being at work. But yeah, they were both independent. My wife became fiercely independent. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when it starts to interfere with your marriage, interfere with the boundaries, with that marital boundaries, yeah, it's a problem. You don't need to be we're married now. We're supposed to be a team. You don't make important decisions like that without talking to me first, taking out loans and stuff like that, getting credit cards and stuff like that, without telling me. But yeah, they're both independent. They were both vengeful at the end. I lost my house. Well, I didn't. And a friend of mine said, "No, you didn't lose it because it's still there." I lost control of it, because of my wife. She was determined that another woman was not going to live in that house, and she said that. Even though, you got to understand, even though the time she said this, she had another man living in there. But she said, yeah, you'll never have, this was her words, you'll never have one of them monkeys living in my house, she said, talking about, Filipina. Um, but yeah, they got very vengeful, and it got to the point where I had to go to court to get custody of my two youngest daughters, and it just became ugly, man. And the same thing is is happening now with my Filipino wife. Um, it's gonna got ugly. I haven't seen my son in over a year, um, and it's all about revenge. They've forgotten the good times. All they want to think about is, the bad times. And it kind of goes into the next one. They're hard headed. They were both very hard headed. My American wife, once she got something in her mind, you could not move her, man. It's like a tree. Yeah, you heard that gospel song, like a tree standing by the water. I should not be moved. That was her. Now the Filipina, she would just stonewall you. She will get to the point where she just is quiet. She won't say anything. She won't respond. She won't reply. That's being hard-headed. You have to understand, look, we're going through separation, getting ready to go through a divorce. We have unfinished business that we have to take care of. Bills, we got a son, custody battle, different things like that. A divorce. You can't just shut everything down and just, But yeah, they both are hard-headed. And here's one thing that shocked me, that they were similar. They both moved on real quick. And they both said this, I'll never have another man, I don't want to, go through this again. But they both moved on real quick. And they both downgraded. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, they both downgraded. My American wife, all she knew was really drug addicts and alcoholics. That's why she chose me, really. And the guy she chose, he ended up dying. We became friends. He went to school with my little brother, and I used to give him rides home because he used to work with my Filipino wife. They used to work at a temporary place together, and I'd give him rides home. They were still together, but they wasn't living together. Yeah, they moved on real quick, and I was told that they do that as a way of sticking a needle in your eye, especially when they downgrade like that, and then they try to take it out on you. But that's just some of the things that you're going to notice if you've already been married in the West and you decide to get married to a Filipino. There's a lot of differences, man, but there's a lot of similarities because they're women. They're always going to be the victim. They're always going to, it's always going to be one side of the story, their side. They're never going to tell your side of the story. And I just wanted to do this video just to kind of help guys, maybe push you in one way or the other. Maybe you might want to stay single and don't want to get married. But I'm going to tell you something. Being with a Filipino, man, you're on the honeymoon. Every day's the honeymoon if you get with the right one. I've never been with the wrong one, to be honest with you. It was me always leaving for real, making that decision. I've never been with the wrong one. Every single Filipino I've dealt with, every day was my birthday. Every day I was on a honeymoon, man. But it was always the timing just wasn't right. With my wife, we were in love the day we split up, man. It hurts. That's the type, you have the type of love that it doesn't just dissipate. It just doesn't disappear real easy, Even though now I've moved on. But I'm saying in the beginning, now my American wife, it's almost like we're strangers now. We were together for 16 years, man. And I'm trying to learn from that mistake with my Filipino wife. I don't want that. I don't want to walk right past you in the store or something like that, like we don't know each other. We slept side by side to each other for 16 years. How crazy is that? I'm trying to avoid that. she'll call me Mr. Roach, my American wife will, or something like that. But she don't have a whole lot to say to me. It's like those years never happened. And that bothers me because they did happen. And it's the same thing going on with my Filipino wife. It's like, don't you remember the good times we had? Why are you always talking about, this last really 2 or 3 months of our marriage? Why are you always talking about that and bringing that up and harping on that? But thank you so much for stopping by, man. I wanted to do this video for a couple of my viewers out there who are on the fence. We decided, hey, man, is it a big difference? Should I stick your toe in the water first. Don't come over here and jump right in the deep end. Take your time. It's some very, very good women over here, and you're eventually going to find one. And you're going to see if you were even... now, I'm talking about the good women. I'm not talking about the bad ones. But remember, a lot of times, the age gap will catch up to you guys. It will. In the beginning, it's all good. But as the years go on, you're getting older. She's still just getting started. It can start some problems. That's why now, see, Marilyn, she's 39. I'm 58, man. That's perfect for me. See, I'm 78. Hell, she'll be 59. She ain't going to be doing too much in 20 years, We'll probably still be together. And that's the same thing that I say about my Filipino wife. The man that she's with now, if he's just a decent human being, they'll probably be together because they didn't meet with the same dynamics that we did. She's got all of that goodness, but there was no visa, there was no finances, there was no lifetime opportunities involved in their situation. I'd already given her that. So they'll probably stay together. Now, my wife, my American wife, I think she's married now to an African guy, and they seem to have a decent relationship. I think it was like her third or fourth relationship. She finally got married. My Filipino wife, I think she's on her second relationship. So they're similar in that. But if you're in America, whether you're getting up or you're going to bed and you see somebody out there that's struggling, man, give them some help. If you're in the Philippines, I guess it's about maybe close to 5 p.m. I'm getting ready to go to Center Mall and upload this video. That's where I'm doing my live streams from now. They've got a good signal there. I don't have a signal at all here. It's real sketchy here. There's not a day goes by that I don't help somebody. I've decided that I'm going to go back up in the mountains where my son lives, and I'm going to rebuild those 4 little homes up there that were destroyed by the typhoon. Neither of those homes up there cost more than $100 to build initially. It was basically a bunch of bamboo and, maybe a few hollow blocks thrown in. If you go to my video, Reunited, you'll see what they were working with. And you're probably saying, well, why are you doing it now? Why didn't you do it before? Well, people have dignity. Who am I to go up? They were happy. Who am I to go up there and say, hey, you need to move out of this shack and let me rebuild you another one? But no, now that the typhoon has given me an excuse, a reason to do it now, and it's under better circumstances that I'll be building a house. I'm only going to spend $1,000 on each house, 50,000 pesos. That's a lot of money up there. And you're going to see these houses are going to be nice. We're going to give these families, these 4 families, a new beginning. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay COVID free. I'll see you next time.